Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake Live. I am so excited to be here with you today. I am really looking forward to everyone joining me. I'm going to give a few minutes for people to come on board. Apparently, a few people were telling me that the YouTube was saying that I was supposed to go live at 1. I don't know why that happened. It should have said noon Pacific Standard Time. So apologies for that. I'm trying to also go live on Rumble. For some reason, Rumble is giving me a little bit of trouble. I don't know why that is, but you should be able to see it on Rumble very soon if all goes well. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what's taking so long. Last time I went live on Rumble, it went it went pretty well. So anyway, I think it's live on Rumble now, but I'll double check to be sure. Now, again, I don't I'm wondering why all this is going on in the world. I think that it should be blatantly obvious to everyone that it's having a crazy time right now in America. And what better day to talk about what's going on in America than on July 4th? I think that's the best day to do it. So, anyway, I really hope that everyone is having a great July 4th. And if you are doing something fun, please let me know. I would love to. I would love to, know what everyone is up to these days. I would love to see um, that come to fruition. Oh, guys, I'm sorry if you're on my Rumble. I apologize. Apparently the Rumble crapped out on me. I don't know why that happened. Apologies for that. But I'm sorry. I'm gonna just go on and focus on YouTube for now, and I'll re-upload on Rumble later today. So sorry about that. That was probably user error. I honestly don't know. It could very well have been. But whatever the case may be, I hope that everyone has a fantastic 4th of July. Now, before we get into the stories that I want to talk about today, for those of you who don't know, I like to use my live streams to talk about stories that I haven't touched on in my regular vidcast. It's just something I like to do. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to do that here today. But before we dive into those, I would like to say, hey, I've got a book out now. This is my 4th book that I've published. It's not related to any of my previous works. This is a standalone novella entitled Blessed Child. This was a labor of love. It's about a princess who she was married to a human, um, being an elf, and her husband died. And right after he dies, she discovers she's pregnant with her child. Now, if you're familiar with elf lore, typically the child of an elf, even if it's from a human, the elfling can choose to be a mortal or an immortal elf, but that's usually around the time of puberty. That's how Tolkien did it. That's how several other fiction authors have done it. Well, in this story, while she's getting her regular exams, she soon discovers that it is actually a human baby, which causes a stir in her elf kingdom, right? They don't want to be ruled by a human. And so there are certain forces that want to sabotage her. So her father, the king of the elves, he hires a human knight, Sir Matthew, to be her bodyguard, basically, and the two form an unlikely bond. He's a knight who has been down in the dumps. He has been a disgrace, but he wants to redeem himself. So don't worry, your copy won't have this obnoxious bar. This is just what Amazon sends writers, so you can look over. It's the proof copy, but you can get yours on Amazon.com. It's available in paperback, hardcover, or ebook format. So definitely check that out. And what I would like for everyone to do is ask this question that Pixie Ray, my amazing moderator and super cute wife, asked. What if I want the bar? Well, sorry, that's exclusive. The bar is exclusive to the writer of the novel. So anyway, I hope you check it out, or excuse me, novella. Check it out. Go to Amazon.com, search Blessed Child and my name, Jacob Airy, and it should come up right away. And like I said, you can get it in 3 different formats. Okay, so Like I said, I usually use these live streams, especially on holidays, to go over stories that I didn't get to on my regular vidcast. I usually pick one topic on my vidcast and I talk about that between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on what it is. Well, I have way more freedom on my live stream, and I hope that you will be along for the ride as you see everything that's coming together. So, first off, I wanted to talk about this video game reviewer who she did this review and she called being a parent a disability. Now, she highlighted it and said situational disability, but still it was very weird. And yay, freedom. And I wanted to just highlight because this story is just so mind-boggling to me. So this is from thatparkplace.com, and this is from the reporter John Trent. And by the way, That Park Place is a great place for entertainment news. I I can't wait for you to go over and read the article, but definitely check it out for yourself so you know I'm not just hustling you here. It says Santa Monica studio writer and former IGN editor Alana Pierce recently claimed in a video discussing Elden Ring's DLC Shadow of the Erdtree that having a 2-year-old is a situational disability. Pierce said, I'm not actually looking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out when accessibility is concerned. From there, she listed out a number of types of disabilities. There are multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. Specifically discussing Elden Ring, she says it counts as a disability where Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. If you have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability. A situational disability? What the heck? She continued, you may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet. Pearson stated, and there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games, her and wrists. You would need something to help you to press certain buttons to play Elden Ring. The third one, long term. People have long term disability. She said, I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games. It's not like there are people who are paralyzed out there. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to highlight the particular thing. Pierce comments about describing a 2-year-old being a 2-year-old as a situational disability comes from the day she claimed she was pansexual. And then Pixie Ray says, I thought she was joking at first, bruh. And did she give herself the award? Well, one probably would say so. Oh my gosh. Where do these people come off being so entitled? Listen, I don't have children myself. I just have a dog. But, I've never heard my sister who has a child or my wife's best friend who has 2 children. I've never heard her describe either of them describe their children as situational disabilities. What the heck? It's like she wants to make it because she has tendinitis and a child that she has a severe disability. That is bizarre to me. You don't deserve special privileges because of these things. I don't deserve special privileges as just being a dude. So why should you? It's so bizarre to me. And I just think that, like I said, I don't have kids. I've babysat kids. I've babysat my niece. I've babysit other people's kids. And when I'm playing a video game and they are disruptive and there's no pause button, you know what I might have to do? I might have to let my character die. It's so funny. It's like, oh my gosh, what is with these people in the entertainment industry, whether it be film or gaming or music or whatever it is, they have to have these awards for being the most or the biggest victim. It's so incredible to me that she would take time out of her busy schedule to do a review for Elden Ring just so she can talk badly about her child. He's going to be old enough to watch these. videos one day, and I think it's so funny. I think that's a really long way to say you feel inconvenience. Exactly. Step aside fibromyalgia and migraine disorder. You're second in disability to a healthy mother. Exactly. What is with this entitlement? It doesn't make any sense to me that these people, they just think that the world should revolve around them, and quite frankly, if you're in any sort of segment of the entertainment industry, I don't want to hear from you. Okay, those of us who struggle to pay our bills day to day, and then you're working in one of the most lucrative industries in the whole world, and you're going to go on strike because of AI, spare me. Personally, if I was during the SAG strike and the Directors Guild strike, if I had been one of those studio heads, I would have been downloading Grok so fast to help me write scripts, which I'm not saying AI scripts would have been better, although the TV shows and movies have been saying today, I don't know how it could get much worse. But I think that to see the entitlement on full display before, celebrities used to try to hide their entitlement, right? They used to, hide behind it, or, it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a celebrity. Oh, I'm so famous. And now, though, with social media, we actually get to see them in the real world. And obviously, this woman isn't a high-priced actress or whatever. She's just reviewing a video game, and I guess she works for a gaming company now. But it just boggles my mind that that's what came to her. And personally, though, I think video games, maybe not online games, but if you're playing an offline game, it should have a pause button. You should do that, But I still think it's just bizarre that she went down that road. I mean, what is that? What is that even? Who thinks like that? It's just so preposterous and everything. I just think it's ridiculous. All right. So now I'm going to move on to this other story, and we've got a lot of stories. There was a lot that happened over the week that I want to discuss. So I've got a big list. So buckle up; it's going to be fun. All right. So this is, we all remember the disaster that was She-Hulk, and this is bounding into comics. Marvel's She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany SLAMS. Hang on, an ad popped up. Sorry about that. I hate that. I don't like the ads where they cover the whole website. I don't know why websites do that. It makes me not want to read. Sorry, bounding into comics. You do fantastic work, but don't censor out the whole screen with your ads. I get it. You need to make your money like I do. I get it. No, don't do that. All right. So anyway, Marvel's She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany slams Canadian law requiring parental approval for students to change pronouns. It should not be in the control of parents how a child identifies. Yes, it should. Oh my gosh, I am so sick of these actors and actresses, the celebrities, trying to force themselves onto the pores. Mind your own dang business. All right, anyway, sorry, I had to get that out. And once again, throwing her hat into the ongoing gender discourse, She-Hulk attorney at law when star is kind of, that's very generous. Tatiana Maslany has made it clear that she is a virulent opponent of her native Saskatchewan. Oh, she's Canadian. That explains a lot. Canadians newly enshrined into law Parents' Bill of Rights. The series, another ad bounding into comics? Jeez. The series of events which eventually led to the bill's creation first kicked off on August 22nd. Oh, my birthday. When the province then Minister of Education, Dustin Duncan, announced a new set of policies surrounding the subject of student sexual education. Specifically, Duncan made it a requirement for schools that when a student requests that their preferred name, gender identity, and or gender expression be used, parent guardian consent will be required for student under the age of 16. It should be till they're graduated, but anyway. And to engage in a review of the involvement of third-party organizations, supporting school divisions and teachers while delivering instruction related to sexual health outcomes in the curriculum. Okay, he goes a little bit more specific, and then talks about the court cases, everything involving it, and how it passed. Just gives the history of the bill. Unsurprisingly, the passage of this bill did not fly well with Maslany, herself a noted LGBTQ youth activist. Speaking to reporters following a June appearance at an event held by Canadians Walk of Fame at the Hotel Saskatchewan, Maslany criticized its contents. It should not be in the control of parents how a child identifies, how a child knows themselves to be, said the actress. That isn't a parent's place. It's an overreach. It's an overreach on the part of the provincial governor to legislate that. It's absurd. Shut up and act. I'm just going to say it. I believe, now she's Canadian, so I probably should specify when it comes to American celebrities, they have First Amendment rights in the United States of America. Shut up and act. I am so tired of actors inserting themselves into these things. Thank goodness for people like Matthew Marsden, John Voight, James Wood, Stacey Dash, who bring some common sense to the table when talking about these things. This actress is a spoiled brat. She's got a silver spoon in her mouth and probably elsewhere, but she wants to interject and say she knows better than the parents. She knows better than the parents how their child should behave. They are children. They're not old enough to get tattoos. They're not old enough to go to war. They're not old enough to get drinks. But you want them to be able to decide, in some cases, permanence in regards to how they function, physically. I think that is absolutely absurd. Stay in your lane, Ms. Lonnie. Shut up and act. And yes, I said it. I'm not taking it back. These actors and actresses need to stop with this. Mark Hamill, more on him later. I like Mark Hamill. I think he's great as the Joker. He's fantastic as Luke Skywalker. He needs to shut up about all these politics things. Him showing up at the White House and being like, Biden, I love Biden. He's my bestie. Wakanda forever. It's so stupid. It's pathetic. And we all see right through it. You need to get up. The Pixie Ray says, yeah, shut up. I have no idea about politics or actors. Yeah, exactly. That's how it should be. We shouldn't know or care what an actor's politics are. Remember recently a whole bunch of them got together to do this poorly edited commercial supporting Biden where it's like, oh, vote this. Shut up and act. I'm tired of hearing these whiners who have to interject themselves into every social discussion. We don't need to hear about it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. It gets old after a while. And quite frankly, this pompous condescension, this smug sense of self-importance that celebrities have, it's ridiculous. And a Pixar adds, that's why I like Keanu. Yes, exactly. Keanu Reeves, he doesn't interject himself into politics. He just talks about his movies, his personal life sometimes. He's a great example. More actors and actresses should be like him. It's no wonder America, but not just America. You see this happening in Canada and the UK as well, how the general audiences are just turning against them, how they're just saying, you guys are a bunch of woke whiners and we're sick of it. I don't know what it is about Hollywood, Atlanta, New York, where these actors go to one of these three cities and they come out these pompous, arrogant jerks. I don't want to hear it. Now, please note, I don't think Tatiana should be arrested and haul off to a gulag for saying what she has to say. I just don't want to hear it. For one thing, she's Canadian, and I know she's talking about a Canadian matter, but still, if you are a Canadian and you stumble on this and you are like, I'm curious what you think. Do you find it as insufferable as I do whenever a celebrity tries to insert themselves into some sort of political or social situation that's going on? It drives me bonkers. I don't pay movie tickets to hear your opinion on the Second Amendment, on any amendment for that matter. For one thing, I find it incredibly disgusting that this is a conversation about children. Children should be protected, especially since with these weirdo teachers who are getting all these weird piercings and shaving their heads and hanging flags in their rooms when they should be, educating our children. It's no wonder the West is so far behind in Asia, because you know what they do in Asia? They educate their children. They don't try to indoctrinate them with this Tatiana Maslany nonsense. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely stupid, with two O's, not a U. STOOPID. Stupid. I'm so tired of hearing about it. Give us a break. you don't need to insert yourself into every conversation, whether it be about men and women issues, whether it be about the Bill of Rights, whether it be about, children. Shut up. Hollywood has never protected children. In fact, they've pimped them out. I've heard too many testimonies, seen too many documentaries, not just one, several, where it's obvious that this is a predatory space. And Tatiana's little hissy fit about having to notify parents about a pronoun change just goes to show you how sick this industry is. All right, I need to calm down. This is live. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. So I guess I just need to calm down live. I don't know. But listen, I got my patriotic mossy oak tumbler here. Let me get some water real quick. All right. Breathe. Zen. Actually, I don't believe in Zen religion, but I just wanted to throw it out there. All right. Another, I'm laughing at myself. Another insufferable celebrity is none other than Shiri Gatwa himself, the new Doctor Who, which is confusing. We don't know if he's the 14th, 15th reincarnation, because they did this weird thing where they split him from, what's his name, the 14th Doctor. So is he the 14th, or is the other guy the 14th? I don't know. I don't watch Doctor Who. So whenever I talk about Doctor Who, I always preface with this. I don't watch Doctor Who. I've never seen a single episode of Doctor Who. I've never seen the movie. I've never read any of the books. I've never listened to the audio dramas. Nothing. I'm norming when it comes to Doctor Who. I'm still going to talk about it because it is related to what I see going on in my own fan franchises. How they're taking characters and gender and race swapping them, how they're changing, their orientation on who they fall in love with, and like what they did with, like what DC Comics did with Tim Drake. And I find it fascinating that it's happening to the British as well. People are trying to do it with James Bond, but no other example of it happening bigger is Doctor Who. So before I read the article, Pixie Ray says, I've never seen Doctor Who, but I'm kind of glad for that because it seems like being a fan puts you on an emotional roller coaster. Yes, that's what it seems like to me as well, Pixie Ray. All right, so this is from fandompulse.substack.com. The media is in full coat mode trying to spin Doctor Who's ratings failures as a success. With new ratings reports out for both Star Wars: The Acolyte and Doctor Who showing that viewers are massively turning out of woke replacement content of established bands, studios are scrambling to come up with a new narrative to somehow paint these travesties as successes. The BBC is making incredible excuses for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who performance, pointing to a percentage of views from a younger demographic as evidence of success, even though the numbers are the lowest in history. Just because you get less of a new demographic, that does not make it a success. Anyway, continuing on. This season of Doctor Who puts 8 of the 10 lowest rated episodes in the show's history, a new low for Russell T Davies and his heavy identity politics infused writing. He warned in multiple interviews prior to the show that this season would upset fans, that it would veer away from its science fiction roots in favor of fantasy, and that the show would lean heavily into extreme left-wing politics and gender identity. Somehow the fans have been vocally saying they don't. Doctor Who hit its all-time low with episode 5 of the season with 3.38 million viewers overall. Even with these dismal numbers, the BBC and its Access Media allies are trying to spin this as a success. Originally, the BBC claimed the low numbers were due to overnight ratings not reflecting the true viewership. They said most people are watching on iPlayer and the ratings show a different story once the full numbers came out. Once they did, however, it showed exactly what fans thought. No one is watching Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who. A BBC spokesperson recently tried to spin this information by talking about the younger demographic they're supposedly going for, saying Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs. I don't know why the British misspell programs. There's no E at the end. On iPlayer, and is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographics across all streamers and broadcasters. However, it's a misinterpretation of the facts to claim success here. Just because a higher percentage of the viewership is of the younger demographic doesn't mean there are more viewers. With a lower overall viewership, the percentage could look better without seeing any increase in demographic viewership. BBC, however, doesn't provide the breakdown, only their spin. And I want you to read the rest of the article over at the website. Again, that's fandompulse.substack.com, which, by the way, they didn't have any ads pop up on me. Just saying. But go head over there and read the full article. But yes, exactly. And this is what I've always said. I remember when I was working at a media company a while back, one that produced podcasts, I mentioned how SJWs, what you would now call the woke, what we called social justice warriors at the time, I call them social justice whiners. Whenever more stuff about, the comics coming out, how they were race swapping, they introduced Ironheart, they introduced Miles Morales, which, by the way, I like video game Miles Morales, I like animated Miles Morales and Ultimate Spider-Man, but his comic book appearances have been dismal, and he needs his own name. He can't be Spider-Man. He needs his own name. All that to say, whenever these, that's a great way to put them. Call them fourth gen. When these fourth gen characters were coming out, like Ironheart, as I mentioned previously, or the Kamala Khan Miss Marvel. Marvel could have made these characters great with the writing, like what they did with James Rhodes, better known as War Machine, or with the Signal, a character who appeared frequently in Scott Snyder's run on Batman. He's a black sidekick to Batman. They could have made them great like those characters, but they didn't. They just made them all, if they were women, they made them Mary Sue's, or if they were men, they made them gay. And that's why. Oh, she says, "Oh, I meant the whiners." That fits too, though. But well said, Pixie. But sorry for misunderstanding that. But yeah, they could have made those characters great, but they didn't. And now, as a result, they're reaping the benefits. And I was in an argument with this coworker of mine at this media company, and the person, because I had said, I don't know why they're catering to social justice whiners, because they don't have any money and they don't read comics. And he kind of flipped his lid a little bit, because, now, by the way, this guy was not an SJW. He just hadn't come to reality about the state of the comic book industry yet. And he said, "Of course they do. What are you talking about?" And so I replied, "Then why aren't sales going up?" They've abandoned all their longtime fans, those of us who have been reading the comics from the 90s, and in some cases the 80s and the 70s. They've abandoned all of us, and they're trying to get these new crop of fans who were born in the 90s or in the early 2000s, and it's not working. They don't have any money, and so they're not buying comics. And he said, "Of course they're buying comics. How could you say that?" And I said, "Listen, how come the sales aren't going up? They're not even stagnating. They're not going up. They're not stagnating. The sales are dropping. They don't buy comics." And that's what they're finding out with Doctor Who. They're finding out that Lamau, they're finding out that this audience, this modern audience that they're always chasing, doesn't actually give a care. Kathleen is finding this out at Star Wars as well, right? They did all of this virtue signaling. They even had the star of the Acolyte make a terrible dance song video about how she hates the fans and stuff, all in favor to try to get these new fans. They never watched Star Wars. You know who did watch Star Wars and liked it? Was my super cute wife. She is more into anime and gaming, but she appreciated Star Wars. She liked it for what it was, and she recognized that it was primarily made for a male audience, because men like guys with laser swords. We like superheroes. But George Lucas was such a genius that he made all 6 of his films where you could access it as just anywhere. If you were a casual fan or someone who just liked good movies, you could enjoy Star Wars. But you can't do that with modern Star Wars, with Disney Star Wars, because they're trying to pander to a fan base that doesn't like the old stuff. So why would they be into the new stuff, even if it has stuff? And Pixray confirms, my super cute wife. Yes, LOL, heart. I loved it growing up. It's a great point. And the same thing is happening with Doctor Who. These new modern audience fans, these SJWs, these woke whiners that they're chasing, don't have any money. They don't have any interest, because they're too busy spending all their money at Starbucks for mocha soy lattes. Whether you like mocha soy lattes or not is irrelevant. The point is, that's what they're spending all their money on, because they're living in their mom's basements. So they're too busy keyboard warrioring to actually give a care about this stuff. J.K. Rowling learned that a little too late. She did all this pandering to the woke wankers early on, and then as a result, um, she it has been basically barred from her own franchise, at least as far as the media is concerned. And it's embarrassing to see the stars of the original Harry Potter series not defend her, especially Emma Watson. That chick was nothing before Harry Potter, and she probably would have been nothing because no one likes working with her. I mean, have you seen her in any good movie? I mean, she ruined Belle's dress in the live action Beauty and the Beast. Her herself, by the way. She was the one who helped design the dress because she didn't want to look as fluey. And Bixray says, hey, I like mocha soy lattes with a skull emoji. Yeah, it's not about you liking them or disliking them. That's all they're spending their money on because they don't have any money, is what I'm trying to say. So here's another story. You know, speaking of Star Wars, Bob Iger, who handpicked Kathleen Kennedy to take over Star Wars, guess what? He received an award he didn't earn, didn't need, and probably just was given to him to feed his ego. This story cracks me up. This is hilarious. This is Disney CEO Bob Iger received a 50-year service award, even though he didn't serve for 50 years. This is from piratesandprincesses.net. Bob Iger recently posted that he received a 50-year service award from the Walt Disney Company. This is raising eyebrows as the years of service to Disney weren't necessarily years worked for Disney. The special award is given to Disney employees who have been with the Walt Disney Company for 50 years. It is bronze statuette featuring Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and reading, recognizing 50 magical years with the Walt Disney Company. Iger posted it on his Instagram with the caption, I started my career at ABC 50 years ago, and the business has certainly changed a lot since then. But at the end of the day, success still hinges on one thing, great storytelling. So why aren't you doing that, Bob? Anyway, I'm proud to work alongside so many talented colleagues who create exceptional stories and experiences for the world to enjoy. Truly the ride of a lifetime. So how does he have 50 years of service then? This is the article. Short answer, he really doesn't. Disney is counting his years of working at ABC. However, the Walt Disney Company didn't purchase ABC until 1995, 1996. Iger started working at ABC in 1974. So Disney is counting his years at ABC as service to Disney, which isn't exactly true. Besides that, he left the company at the end of 2021 and didn't return until late 2022. So he shouldn't even be eligible until 2025 for the award anyway. Either way, he got the award. This was just to stroke his ego. Kathleen Kennedy did this. I'm sorry, not Kathleen Kennedy. Susan Wojcicki of Google did the exact same thing, by the way. Google hosts this award show every year, and she won some sort of award that, even though she's, you know, the head of Google, it's so preposterous how these guys, they think that they should get an award just for existing, even though Bob Iger, when he took over, the company was doing very well thanks to Michael Eisner. Michael Eisner's only problem was he was there for too long. Michael Eisner brought in a ton of great ideas because Disney had kind of gone through a slump. But then Mike Eisner comes along and we get The Lion King, we get expansion of the Disney parks. Now, he did overreach and he did do those dumb direct-to-DVD sequels that Disney was popping out like popcorn. But Mike Eisner, he also revitalized Disney on TV. That's how we got Toon Disney. That's how we got ABC One Saturday Morning, which was all Disney shows. That's how you got to see Quack Pack on UPN 21. It was because that was the station at where I lived at the time in Dallas. But when he passed it off to Bob Iger, it was clear Eisner had been there too long. He just had lost fresh vision. So everyone thought Bob Iger would come along because of his years of experience at ABC and he would be really good. But what Bob Iger wanted to do is he just wanted to take over other franchises that Disney didn't have a hand in. But the problem is Bob Iger didn't want their audiences. So he more fully integrates Pixar, gets rid of John Lasseter over a ridiculous Me Too accusation, which didn't even have anything illegal or even, in my opinion, anything gross. He got accused of hugging someone too tightly. Apologize. Okay, whatever. and he put in his own errand boy in Pixar. A lot of the staff left. So then he acquires Marvel Studios and takes away what Paramount was doing good, and then slowly starts to bring in his own people. I always say Kevin Feige gets all of the praise for Marvel, but none of the blame for what's going wrong now, because the original principal people at Marvel, it was more like a council where they got together and say, hey, how can we keep expanding the MCU? We've got to prepare for people, their contracts moving out. And that's why you can kind of start to see the Disney effect go in with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Shang-Chi, Black Widow. That's when I actually don't mind those 4 movies. I know that especially Shang-Chi is a little controversial with fans. To me, it's a good Disney movie, but it's not a good Marvel movie or even a great Marvel movie or even a great Disney movie. That was my complaint about those 4 films, was they felt more like Disney. Same is true of Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know what that was. That wasn't Marvel or Disney, but I digress. And he did the same thing with Lucasfilm, right? Pat George Lucas on the back. Hey, we're gonna bring in people you like. We're gonna make your movies, blah blah. And then they backstabbed him. They gave him his billion and backstabbed him. And since then, Bob Iger has just been on this terror. He resigned briefly, like they said, and brought in Bob Chapek, and he did he was a coward. Bob Chapek had a lot of great ideas, but he was a coward. He had no backbone. He did get rid of some of Bob Iger's cronies, which caused a little bit of a stir, and I was happy about that. But he didn't stand up to all the people who were letting wokeness infiltrate the company. So he has to go, and he takes the fall for all the bad things that Iger put in place. Iger's back, and he's continuing the bad stuff. And as we've seen from the O'Keefe videos, it's clear that he wants to keep doing that. He wants to keep pushing this radical communist feminism onto the fans. He wants to keep the LGBTQ agenda going. It's absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, if you watch just a, regular person, like say Blair White, they don't, Blair is a trans woman, doesn't like what the LGBTQ is doing as far as entertainment. Good for Blair for standing up for that. And by the way, Blair's not the only one. So it's clear to me. I say Blair, I call Blair just a regular person. Blair has a significant YouTube presence, but anyway, neither here nor there. Not the point. Point is, they brought in all of this agenda stuff, and that's what has taken over. We've seen that so many times and times again. Now that brings me to, I mentioned Star Wars earlier. I mentioned Mark Hamill. That brings me to this, and this story is one that really makes me scratch my head. So this is from The Blaze, from their Align, which is kind of like their lifestyle magazine. And this is by my good pal, Christian Toto, who's a fellow entertainment industry guy. It's called Luke Cry Harder. The cringe is strong with Biden fan Hamill. David Spade's ancient falling star jab, no joke, to wafer thin skin Eddie Murphy. Will Bob Feige's jackpot pay off? The cringe is strong with Mark Hamill. And it says the cringe is strong with Mark Hamill. And he goes into how Mark Hamill is just fanboying for Joe Biden, about how he makes appearances, how he does this tweet, and he highlights a particular tweet that one of the reasons I paused was I had the tweet up. I was going to read it to you, but for some reason the window closed. Sorry about that. We're doing it live. That's what it is. But I highly recommend, if you're looking for a straight shooter on the entertainment industry, that would be Christian Toto. His website's hollywoodtoto.com. And also that article was on theblaze.com. So Mark Hamill, someone made a meme of Mark Hamill standing in the press room where they take questions, where the press secretary takes question, and he's standing at the podium and he's got a lightsaber and sunglasses. And Mark Hamill retweets this, and said, I would really like someone to explain just exactly what a black job is. Anyone. It's like, what does that even mean? Where does it go? He also had a really cringe reaction to the SCOTUS's immunity case for Trump. And he said, SCOTUS just said, F you to the founding fathers. And he's doing all this to promote Joe Biden, who we all saw the debate performance. I try not to get political, or I should say, I try not to get into politics on this channel, but absolutely cringe performance. And, I'm not a Trump person right now. Good for Trump for showing restraint and going at Biden and letting Biden just, giving himself his own dunce caps, if you will, because Biden did terribly for that. But then you've got Mark Hamill. And it's not just Mark Hamill. I saw Michael Douglas going around, Michael Douglas, again, shut up and act. Mark Hamill, shut up and act. Michael Douglas, shut up and act. It's ridiculous. I don't want to see you. I don't care that you like Biden. It's so silly. Now, this is what you really came for. I talk about Gina Carano a lot on this channel because she was treated so unfairly by Disney and Lucasfilms. She shared a tweet about with some historical context about World War II and how the persecution of the Jews began, and people were coming at her saying it was anti-Semitic, and that was a lie. For one thing, it didn't go there. Meanwhile, Pedro Pascal, her co-star, he gets to compare Trump supporters to the bad guys from WW2 and all that, to the Third Reich people and nonsense. Well, Mark Hamill, again, shut up and act, Mark Hamill. He shared a historical tweet or X post, whatever they're called these days, about the Enabling Act, which was something that gave Hitler and his cronies power. Mark Hamill retweets this and, like a moron, says, just for the record, history is repeating itself, which Mark Hamill needs to shut up, because I remember there was an incident where this guy who was an offending map, I think that's what YouTube will let me say, he was an offending map, attacked a 17-year-old kid, and the kid happened to be armed and defended himself, and that offending map lost his life. Boo freaking who, but not to Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo gives him a nickname and says, I'm so sad that we lost JoJo. Okay, this guy harmed children. He had just gotten released from prison for harming children. And he's going to give this guy a nickname? Stick. Shut up and act, Mark. You're great as Bruce Banner. Shut up and act. Anyway, Gina Carano decides to retweet him, and this is what she said, which I think it's very important. Double standards on full display. It's a constant and obvious elephant in the room in Hollywood. There is example after example, such as Mark Ruffalo below, that prove this. Whom, by the way, I believe should have the right to express himself without getting fired, although I cringe at most all of his political posts. He is an actor, but he is a human being passionately engaging in something that he feels strongly about. It must be nice feeling to express yourself so freely. Not everyone in this country has that privilege without having everything that they love taken from them. Do we wonder why he has that privilege and I did not? The answers are in my case. I know people would prefer basketball players to just dribble or actors to just act, but when you're in a world where lives are being destroyed and lost all around you, how does any human being become forced to stay silent when death by injustice surrounds them? I see her point. I still think actors should just act. But anyway, Disney Lucasfilm maliciously twisted the narrative of a meme I posted, which was encouraging neighbors not to demonize their neighbors or history could repeat itself. They twisted that meme into saying that I was denigrating people off of their cultural and religious beliefs. It was suggested that I was comparing Republicans to the Jewish people in the Holocaust, something that I never said or posted. I called no one a Nazi. I did not deny the Holocaust. Read that last sentence again. I never did this, yet I was smeared as an anti-Semite. That doesn't seem to happen to a certain group of people that choose to use these comparisons as well. Why is that? The rules for thee and not for me group. So what are the rules exactly? This lie was fed to you by the corrupt media based off of a statement from Disney Lucasfilm, who have doubled down on their slander towards me. Their narrative took on a life of its own while my own life and career were tossed aside. The media repeated and repeated this lie until it became an untruthful fact to many who aren't the best at doing their own research, who instead listen to fake news and what we've been seeing this journalism digress into. Spare a very few brilliant journalists. A demoralized society becomes hungry for propaganda, willing to give up the rights and the rights of others. It causes division and drives societies into a mob mentality. Picking on a group of people, turning neighbor against neighbor, it's one of the largest reasons the gates were open for the Nazis to come into power in the first place. Just so you know, I'm intentionally mispronouncing that word because it could get me censored on YouTube because they don't like history. Anyway, continue on. This way of doing things cannot be what we base condemning and destroying people's livelihoods and careers off of. The media manipulates the masses so easily based on their affiliations with large corporations and powerful people who signal and encourage them to destroy. Where my case stands as of now, we are patiently waiting with respect to the judge's ruling on whether she will grant or deny Disney Lucasfilm to dismiss the case that I have brought against them. My hope is that my case brings balance back to a very broken industry. My case is not just for people who think exactly like me, but for everyone who will be and has been placed in this position. Let's restore the balance, something that I believe the majority of the industry desires, just as I believe the majority of our beautiful country desires as well. We can have conversations where we don't agree. In fact, we might just learn something from each other through more conversations. Conversation over cancellation, like I've always said from the beginning. Slow clap for that. Actually, fast clap. Well said, Gina Carano. And while I do think that actors should just act, I do think celebrities should just be celebrities. They should just do their thing. I agree with that. I do not think they should get in trouble or get fired for saying things. I think that that is true. I think that they should be allowed to say what they want to say, even if I disagree with it. I just think they shouldn't. It's not a legal thing. It's more of a professional thing. Because every time actors like Tatiana or actors like Mark Hamill and Mark Ruffalo open their big, fat, silver spoon mouths, it makes me not want to celebrate their real accomplishments, the awards they've won for the art that they have produced. And Gina Carano was incredibly mistreated by the Disney industry, by the Hollywood industrial complex, by the corporate press, all because she went against the tide. Quite frankly, we need more celebrities like Gina Carano, like Matthew Marsden, like James Wood, like Keanu Reeves, like Stacey Dash, like John Voight. We need more of them who will stand against the tide and offer alternative voices in this discourse that we're in. Of course, that's just my opinion. Once again, I want to say happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. Go America! America! America is my home, and though I'm disappointed in it at times, I still think America is the greatest country in the whole wide world. It is the only place in the world where I can do stuff like this, where I can speak openly and say the things that I want to say. Countries all over Europe has censorship laws. In Turkey, you can't say anything against the government. In South America, many of them are communist. You can't speak about the governments there. In Mexico, you can't speak out against the Mexican government at times. But here in the United States of America, I can do it, and I'm proud to be an American. So thank you so much for tuning in. Just one quick reminder, pick up Blessed Child. It's my latest novella, and you can find it on Amazon.com. I'm going to leave that comment out exactly what WTF is a kilometer. You can pick it up on Amazon.com. Just search Blessed Child and search my name right next to it, and you can find it. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Thanks to my amazing moderator, Pixie Ray, who's also my super cute wife. Without her, this show would not be possible, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I hope everyone has a fantastic Independence Day, and that you will like, share, subscribe, consider becoming a channel member if you're watching on YouTube. Once again, apologies to Rumble. I'll get it up there. I was meant to go live on Rumble as well. Technology crashed. It was probably user error. Sorry about that, but I will re-upload it, re-upload this live stream there as soon as I can. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake. Happy birthday, United States of America.